in places, but what the fuck is actually happening with people. A lot of y'all got to realize your viewpoint, your perspective, educating yourself more. Like, so I'm doing a Zoom tonight on how to love a black man or loving black men. And a lot of y'all, you need to get a better understanding of what's happening in the world, what's happening in our country when it comes to African-American men, because it will help you understand a lot of the stuff that's happening with behavior, with mental health, with decisions being made on entering a workforce or not entering, on just self-esteem and stuff that you could just on the surface talk shit about. But if you understood the root of where the shit coming from, your viewpoint and your perspective and how you handle it, how you move, what you tolerate, what you don't, it will change. Some of y'all that didn't catch the first part of my live that cut off, but a lot of y'all, you just got to educate yourself. And I just ran down some facts in the field of education. Young black men are poorly served by the school systems, and I just gave some facts, just pure data that's fact about how many African-American males versus African-American women, white men, white women, as far as who has bachelor's degrees, who has degrees in general, upward mobility, meaning the opportunities, the skill set, the background to be able to come up out of poverty. Black boys raised poor are at most risk of remaining stuck in poverty. Earnings. Black men earn less than white men and women, and black women, in a lot of labor forces that are outside of physical labor. Like, a lot of y'all don't realize, like I did a live where I was talking about having respect for the labor force that actually, like, they work physically. Like, their job requires physical movement, meaning we talk about construction workers, garbage truck drivers, city workers, electricians, plumbers, jobs like these, like outside of this area. A lot of times, if you just look at facts, African-American men earn less, regardless of their skill, regardless of if they did go get the particular degree that they needed and have the experience. When we talk about unemployment, black men are twice as likely to be unemployed as white men. Black men die 4 years earlier than white men. Black men make up the largest share of prisoners in the prison system. Exactly, blue collar workers. I'm just giving y'all a small amount of facts to where some of y'all, you need to open your mind up as to why certain shit is the way that it is. I ain't gonna go back into the statistics. Like, you could text 678-965-0698 if you're trying to get in the Zoom. If you can't get in the Zoom or you just don't want to, I encourage you to go educate yourself. Educate yourself on what's happening in the world. Because a lot of y'all, especially for females, y'all come on my page and it's always poor you, but you don't have a clear understanding of what the fuck is going on in this country, especially for our people. Even like some of y'all, you haven't sat and been real with yourself about what occurred in like the 60s and 70s, like that shift where, you know, at one point it was about building black families. And then at another point it came like, no, it's just about fucking a black man getting pregnant and being able to still hold them accountable through getting assistance. Like, there was a shift, and it's a lot of people that, like, they don't want to talk about this. They just want to talk about their poor little emotional story about what happened to them, instead of looking on a larger scale about why the fuck we think the way that we think. We look at each other the way we look at each other. The reasons why we walk into shit blind, and then, you know, when we have the ability to open our eyes, we walk in with our eyes closed and come out like somebody made us go in that way. It's definitely a war on the mind. For those of y'all that was on my Zoom when I talked about the Willie Lynch letter and just explained how you can, like, fuck a race of people or even just a group of people by fucking with this. It don't even take for them to be weak. This is why you see so many, especially when you look at what I'm saying, right? And this might be going over some of y'all head, but when you look at, when I'm just giving the facts about what's going on, right? Y'all, black men die earlier, get paid less in the labor force, make up most of the prisons, so you're more likely to get arrested, you know, less likely to come up out of a poverty situation. This is upward mobility, right? You look at these, and knowing this, right? I could be physically capable, but if somebody doesn't help me boost my mental, these facts will fuck you up here to where you could have all the abilities to, in your particular situation, conquer these things that I just went over. But if this is what you're seeing nonstop, like, it will make you feel like it hits how they kept slaves fucking enslaved. Niggas bigger and stronger than the one or two people living in the master house, but nobody ain't bucking or leaving because they got them mentally. A bitch get a hold on you mentally, it's over with. And a lot of y'all sit around, oh, they lazy. Oh, he just don't want to work. Oh, it starts with this. I'm gonna put it to y'all like this. For some of y'all, because somebody was explaining about they would simply leave instead of properly divorcing and start new families. I'm gonna tell y'all this, right? If you talk to this is for a lot of females, especially in the urban community. If you talk to your great-great-grandmother or your great-great-great, you go back some generations, you get the stories where, you know, grandpa might have did, you know, some dirt and shit, but grandma never left, right? And when you talk to the retarded family member, they make it seem like that's how it's supposed to be in relationships, skipping over the facts, the stuff like what I just went over with y'all. When you go back to their time, women earned less. Rights in the workforce were different for women in general, black or white, right? Like, this was facts about what was going on. So people weren't leaving, not because this is how relationships supposed to be and this is what you're supposed to put up with. They were moving a certain way at home because out in the world, it was so many restrictions. Like, there were things that men can do that women couldn't do. This is why they stayed. It wasn't because this is the way that you're supposed to be in a relationship. So now you fast forward now, because I just gave this as valid fact as to why women move the way they move. Now take this same thing and fast forward now to a lot of shit that's going on as restrictions on black men. A lot of it you can relate to why they moved away. But see, if you don't know the facts, you're going to think just how a bitch used to think back then. Well, that's what my great grandma did, so that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to stay through 3 or 4 babies. You're supposed to listen to the lies. You're supposed to know your great-great-grandma stayed because, bitch, they wasn't hiring women. Ho, you couldn't get paid a fuck thing. A bitch didn't look at independent women back then as a big popping positive deal or some shit. She kept her ass the fuck at home where she could be cared for and protected and not targeted as being weak. Because back then, that's what was going on in the world. But see, when you just living and you don't understand what the fuck is going on in the world, you will think that waves of stuff is just happening for no reason. Like, oh, these niggas is just being some type of ray for no reason. Girl, these niggas just ain't shit. It's just happening, child. That's just what they do. And it makes no sense. It wasn't about being a housewife. It was about understanding it wasn't much out there if you didn't want to be a housewife. Like, if we look at facts back then, similar to the same kind of facts that I'm giving on black men now, it was going on back then. So you moved a certain way, not because it's what you necessarily wanted to do, but the times that you came up in, your behavior was about survival during that time. I know for some of y'all, this is going flat over your head. Some of I know I just lost you. Y'all still don't get it, because some of y'all talking about playing a role. Somebody tell me all they want is poly now. Some of y'all lost. I got to laugh because I feel like I'm saying it's so simple, and some of y'all, you just not getting it. Y'all can text 678-965-0698 to get in the Zoom tonight. It's me going over loving a black man, just giving y'all the data and a more clear understanding, because you got sons, you got, you know, boyfriends, husbands, uncles, cousins. And if you're, especially if you're us, you need to understand a lot of this shit that I understand. And then a lot of y'all, you're just not educated enough, or you don't listen to understand. You kind of listening with your emotion and your, you know, experience on the front of your brain. You won't be able to receive what I'm saying. They can't get it from where they are right now. Absolutely right. And this is the thing, because somebody said the roles and the rules have changed. It wasn't about roles and rules. It was you moved based on what was best for survival, looking at the state of the world and what was going on. Like, if y'all got to understand, like, if things just shifted to where it went back to how it was, where, you know, women didn't have all the being the leading earners in most every, you know, career field, like, you would see a lot of women shift their perspective back to, like, let me get me a dude, because a lot of the money that I want to see, or the lifestyle I want to live, I can't live it without having a man, because I don't have access to that money.